Welcome everyone to this very special event entitled UVA Women's Swimming and Diving Championships, Degrees, and Olympic Gold. The title alone is inspiring. We are so thankful whenever we have an opportunity to celebrate women, to celebrate excellence. We have that opportunity today, and I am so looking forward to hearing the stories of Elle and Leah, as well as hearing from our current 2021 NCAA Women's Swimming and Diving National Champions. So let's jump right in with the introductions so we can hear their stories. First, allow me to introduce our moderator, Juli O'Reilly. Juli is the Senior Vice President and Managing Counsel for American Express, where she leads a team of professionals who provide legal counsel on financial services matters globally. She has participated in many leadership and mentorship programs at American Express. It is always inspiring to see women in leadership roles helping other women develop, and Juli has done just that. She received her BA from the University of Virginia and her JD from the George Washington University Law School. As a member of the UVA women's swim dive team, she was a 5-time NCAA All-American, an All-ACC Scholar Athlete, and NCAA qualifier all 4 years. She captained the team in both her 3rd and 4th year. Juli was very active as a student leader as well. She volunteered with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. She was president of the UVA History Honor Society, president of the Athletic Captains Council, a resident on the lawn, and was inducted into the ODK Leadership Society. Juli and her husband Brian have 2 daughters, 2 Who's, Jacqueline and Megan. In addition to cheering on the Who's, Juli enjoys traveling. She's a foodie like me. She enjoys wine, art, golf, and soccer. Lastly, we are so fortunate to have her serving currently as the president of the Virginia Athletics Foundation. Without further ado, Juli.
Thank you, Carla, very much. I'm thrilled to be here today, and we have just such a fantastic panel discussion, 2 panel discussions today. So before we begin, though, a little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded, and that recording will be available in the coming days. So please note that in this webinar format, participant cameras and microphones are disabled, so it's just the panelists who have access. If you do have questions that you'd like considered by the panels, please type them out and the team will get those to us. If you need closed captioning, that is available at the bottom of your screen. So we're very excited to start our conversation with our WHO alumni, Leah Smith and Elle Roberts. If you both could join us. And
hi.
Hey, Leah, great to see you. Elle, nice to see you. I think you both have met Carla before, right?
Nice to see you guys. Thanks for having us.
It's a great pleasure to have you both. So for our audience today, we have over 100 people joining us. So a little bit of background about you both, although I know you're well known to many. So Leah, you're an Olympic gold and bronze medalist, 4-time national champion, and 13-time ACC champion for the University of Virginia. Graduate of the college in 2013, and you get to represent the United States on both the national team, world championship teams, and the Olympic team. What a terrific honor. Your bio is available to all of our panelists, but you come from a long line of athletes in your family going back a number of generations. While at Virginia, Leah was awarded the IMP Award as the top female athlete at UVA, and she competed in the Rio Games. Currently, she's living in Tucson, Arizona, and training at the University of Arizona, while also competing professionally for the U.S. national swim team, as well as in the International Swimming League, previously for the LA Current, and most recently for the Tokyo Frog Kings. So welcome, Leah. Our second panelist, Elle Roberts, graduated from the college in 1975. She has the distinction of being the first Wahoo to represent the university in international competition. Elle was a member of the 1973 World University Games. Back at the time that Elle was attending the university, there was no women's swimming program. So Elle not only trained with the men, but also competed with them on the men's team. As part of the World University Games team in '73, she was joined by then UVA basketball star Wally Walker, for many of you who remember Wally. Following the World University Games, Elle went on to set 3 American records, just absolutely outstanding, and have a long triathlon career, including winning world championships in her age group, 15 or so years after graduating from college. Very impressive. She was named the National Amateur Triathlete of the Year by USA Triathlon in 1992 and was inducted into the Maryland Swimming Hall of Fame in 1995. For 30 years of her career, Elle has been a fundraiser for various organizations, and in the last 10 years has worked at Johns Hopkins, raising major gifts for cancer research. And Elle remains an avid swimmer. And then finally, the third person on our panel is our athletic director, Carla Williams. Many of you know Carla well and know her background. She was a college athlete in basketball, not a swimmer, although we would have welcomed her for the team, given her dive into the pool with the team a couple weeks ago. And she is the first woman to lead a school in the Power 5 athletic conference as athletic director. We're thrilled to have her here with us today. So I'm just so excited to have been asked to lead this panel, to be in the presence of women who have been gold medalists on the international stage, who have set American records. Super exciting for both of you. And I would ask for both you, Leah and Elle, what was it like representing not only yourself and your country, but also being part of the UVA community while you were in those international competitions? And was there anything at UVA that helped prepare you for what you faced when you were in those competitions?
I guess since I'm older, I'll go first. If every swimmer, every athlete strives for the ultimate, which is to represent your country in the Olympic Games and international competition, and to wear the swimsuit and the warm-up with USA on it, and to hopefully stand on the podium and have the US flag raised in your honor is quite a privilege. And I came to UVA frankly not to swim, because it just wasn't in my mind at that time, but it was to attend Thomas Jefferson University. And it was such a thrill being the second class of women, but to be able to have that opportunity and to walk along the lawn to class every day. I remember saying every day, I can't believe how lucky I am So to have the privilege of attending UVA and to represent the United States in international swimming competition, it was just a very, very lucky thing. And I feel very blessed to have had that opportunity, both opportunities.
Yeah, I think for me, it was very inspiring to see the just rich history of UVA swimming and diving before I got there. So that was something that made me feel like I wanted to contribute to. Seeing gold medalists like Lauren Perdue and Matt McLean and all these Olympians UVA had produced, and seeing girls that I was on the team with having represented the US at World University Games and different meets like that was so cool to me. And I really wanted to contribute to that. So I think it definitely helped prepare me for international competitions, because I felt like we had such an amazing history, but I also felt like we were so close as a team, and it was so easy to translate that to other teams that I was on. Just coming from one really supportive environment where everyone around me wanted to see me succeed and vice versa. So I think that translated really well when I started swimming a lot of international meets. So yeah, I think it's just really amazing to watch, to see how you want to contribute to something, and then to leave UVA and see the amazing girls there right now continuing those traditions. It's just a really special feeling.
Leah, you referenced joining other teams. You've obviously stayed in the sport, post-graduation. Can you tell us a little bit what it's been like the last 4 years for you, turning pro, preparing for the Olympics? How is that similar? How is it different from what you did when you were at UVA?
Yeah, I think it's pretty different. I would say there's not really like a huge blueprint for turning pro in swimming. There's sort of the beginnings of professional swimming leagues with the ISL, but there's no like draft, and you just know exactly what path you go on. So for me, it was, I would say, pretty difficult leaving UVA. Obviously, I loved it and loved my time there. I think it was difficult because, yeah, there is no sort of blueprint to tell you exactly what to do, but it's been really rewarding and super fun. I think I've just really embraced my life as a professional swimmer. I love traveling. I love going to meets with all of my friends on the national team. So I think it was really good for me that I ended up having to leave, because I felt like I grew a lot when I left. And I got to know an entirely different team, an entirely different city, got to figure out a lot about myself as a person and a swimmer. So I think it's been really great. And I've definitely learned so much over the past few years.
And Elle, you continued on with the sport after leaving UVA as well, both on the performance side, but also as a merchandise rep for Speedo. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like staying in the sport from that angle after you left, and what you brought with you from UVA as part of that professional experience?
It's funny. I was a French major, but swimming was what opened doors for me professionally. I got my very first job with Speedo through a teammate at World University Games. And I got my second job at USA Swimming through Ray Essick, who was the executive director at swimming, but had been the men's Harvard team coach. And the UVA team and the Harvard team were both in St. Croix for a winter training session, and I met him there. so swimming really opened the doors for me professionally. And then from swimming, I went on to start a fundraising career with the U.S. Olympic Committee and was with them for quite a long time. So getting back to my French major though, a couple of times when I was on a swimming trip with the US team to Paris, and then when I was with the Olympic Committee, attended the games, the Winter Games in Albertville, France, and was able to kind of use my interpreting skills at both those times. But it was swimming that launched my professional career.
And Leah, back to you on, so I think we were all, completely crushed when we heard first NCAA's getting canceled last year, especially as the team was on the verge of, I think, a really big splash on the national stage. But the Olympics being postponed as well to this year. How did that impact you? You were out of the pool for a number of months. How did you stay motivated? And what are you doing now to get yourself ready for hopefully Tokyo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was definitely a very difficult time. But in terms of the Olympics being postponed, it was sort of, so many things had happened before that it definitely made sense. March Madness was canceled, NCAA's was canceled, which I felt horrible for the women's team for, because I was so excited for them. And yeah, so it kind of made sense that it was going to be postponed or canceled. So I think a lot of people had anxiety about if it was still going to go on. So many people's training had been interrupted. And so once it was finally postponed, I think some people did take a deep breath, because it was sort of like, okay, we don't have to prepare for this meet in 3 months that we didn't get to train for. But then I think once reality settled in, it was very difficult, because the meet was close, but still pretty far away. And it was sort of like you didn't know what meets were going to be leading up to it and whether you could swim in them. And so I think for a while, I mainly just tried to focus on staying in touch with goal setting and making sure that I still loved exercising and, moving my body, and just making sure that I was like happy and healthy. And so I think that helped me when I finally did get back in the pool, so I think the Olympics were postponed the last week of March, maybe. And I don't think I got into full-time training with my team until September, but with a team until July. So that was very difficult to make sure that that I was doing everything I needed to do. But I think it also gave everybody kind of a little bit of a break. And I feel like it helped renew a lot of people's love for the sport. So, there were a lot of hard things about the postponements and the cancellations, but I think it's given everybody like an added level of gratitude.
Nothing like having something taken away from you to really sort of appreciate how important it is, or how happy it makes you. Well, thank you for sharing that, Leah. Elle, going back to you, and I think we've had a number of questions come in leading up to today's event, and then on the chat board today about what was it like, especially keeping in mind that this event is connected to International Women's History Month, little extended. But what was it like to train on the men's team and to compete with the men? And did that seem foreign to you? How were you treated during that time? Give us a little bit of a sense of your experience.
It was fun. It was worthwhile. It took getting used to for both me and for the men. It just took getting used to. it was so strange to a lot of the men to even have a woman on the pool deck at that time. I came from a strong club swimming program, and like a few of the men on the team, they also came from strong club swimming programs where you had women and men in the pool during workouts, training together all the time, pushing each other and beating each other in one set versus another. So for the men on the team who came from strong swimming programs, it was nothing new. For others, it was, and again, it just took getting used to.
And Leah, how about for you? How important was it for you to have men in the pool at the same time as training partners or in your lane or competitors? And what was the dynamic at the time between the men and women's team?
Yeah, I think I like Elle, I came from a club that, you know, we did swim with guys every day. And so from the time I was very young, I was always trying to chase the guys, and I always had coaches saying, like, try to go get them. And I think swimming's an interesting sport because you know, it is times based, and you know, depending on, I've always had people say, well, some guys have more muscle, so they're not as good in training. And so you can have scenarios where a really good female swimmer can race a really good male swimmer, and you guys can battle it out in practice. So I've always had fun with that in training. I think that that definitely added like a new level to my training when I got to UVA, because I'd swum with men before, but going to UVA, I was now swimming with tons of them, and a lot of them were really good. And the women's team was so good, so much faster than like anything I had experienced in club swimming. So I just feel like it really elevated me, and it meant a lot to me that a lot of the men I swam with would encourage me to go after things that, you know, some might say that's out of reach, or that's a really ridiculous goal. I felt like I was just in a really supportive environment with my coaches and all of my teammates, just wanting each other to be better no matter, you know, who you were. So I would say that that things, yeah, that really helped me a lot, and is something that was very special to me.
And Elle, back to you. We've actually had a question from someone in our audience who has asked whether you beat Dino, Mark Bernardino, then a swimmer, later a longtime coach at the university, whether you beat Dino either in practice or in a meet.
Never. He was way too fast. I do remember, though, my normal swim lane was next to his. I was in the backstroke lane and he was in the distance freestyle lane. But no, he was such a strong swimmer and so competitive. He wasn't going to let anybody beat him, whether it was in a meet or in practice.
I can definitely attest to the fact that Dino is competitive. And a shout out to my lane partners, Gordon Seeley, Chris Eastman. It was great training with you at the time as well. You know, Carla, you were an athlete in college, and, you know, now as athletic director, you've had this career in sports as well. You know, as a celebration of, you know, International Women's History Month, and, you know, as a celebration of your long career in sport, how do you think about equity, both, you know, back in the day as an athlete, now as an athletic director, both in reflection and how it may impact the decisions you make today?
Yeah, great question. I was a freshman in college in 1985, and so this is not too long after Title IX was fully implemented, but it was still early. And for swimming, is practice and training is different for basketball in that we don't practice together. They're separate practices, separate lifting, separate training. So it's kind of easy to see distinctions when it's like that, sports like that. And I was so thankful to have a scholarship to go to college that, I didn't really realize the inequities until some time had passed and I got into the industry and I started thinking back about my experience as a student athlete. And I thought, oh my goodness, that was so inequitable. And, just things that were normal then, that we try to avoid now for sure. And, for instance, practice times, swim, dive, they all practice at the same time. For me, the men got to pick the time that they wanted to practice, and then the women would get the next time to practice. We had our dining hall was with all of the students, and the male student athletes had their own dining hall. Housing, there was a male student athlete dorm, and we were in with all of the other students. Travel budgets, I distinctly remember taking a bus to the same place that the men chartered to play a game. So that happened often. And then you think about equipment and apparel. So all of that, those experiences have shaped me. And being a former student athlete, former female student athlete, there's a sensitivity there that I think is different. And so for me, I see myself in our student athletes. I have two daughters, and I see my daughters in our student athletes. And so that's been a huge help for me, because you have to be an intentional advocate for equity. You have to be an intentional champion for equity. And the leader of the company, the leader of the university, the leader of the athletic department, that person has to lead that effort, or it will not work. And I've seen it over and over again, how equity becomes an afterthought because it's not a priority of the leader. And so there are many examples throughout my career, some subtle, not very noticeable, but if you know the law, you know that it's inequitable, and then some egregious. And so, it's something that we constantly talk about as a senior staff here at UVA, because if you do not, then it could creep backwards easily. So our staff knows it is a part of our culture where before we make decisions, we think about equity. And that's how you have to lead. You have to really think about it in every decision that you make.
Well, Carla, thank you for making it a priority and for pushing down the ladder and pushing up the next generations of female athletes to benefit from that. So just in our last couple of seconds here, quick lightning round for us. Carla, you mentioned that you're a foodie. What's your favorite off-grounds dining place in Charlottesville?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, I love so many. There's a new one because I haven't been to a restaurant in over a year there to dine in. There's a new one that I'm looking forward to going to, the Ridley. It just opened last week, and I looked at the menu, and the menu looks awesome. So I'm looking forward to going to the Ridley as soon as I'm fully immunized.
Awesome. Elle, new dorms, old dorms?
I didn't live in any dorm. I transferred in sophomore year, so I lived for 3 years at 1885 University Circle, an apartment.
A popular place for professors now, I think, as opposed to students. And Leah, for you, favorite mode of transportation in Charlottesville?
Car. Or Uber, I guess. I used Uber a lot in college.
Well, there you go. Uber is certainly new from when I went to school. Thanks to our first set of panelists. Wonderful to get to know you better. Thanks for everything you do for UVA now, the representation you've given our university and the country. And Leah, we wish you all the best at trials.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck, Leah. Thank you for having us.
Well, I'm thrilled to be able to bring on our second panel. And I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. And would love to welcome our 2021 NCAA champion team in swimming and diving. And we have 6 representatives with us today. Alexis Wenger, a 3rd-year sprinter. Jess Nava, 3rd-year butterflyer and freestyler and team captain. Paige Madden, a 4th-year freestyle and butterfly. Kyla Valls, 4th-year sprint free. Ella Nelson, 2nd-year breast and IM. And Caroline Gemlick, a 4th-year in fly and back. And so welcome everyone. It's just terrific to have you with us today, and congratulations. National champions, it's huge. Not that we're all about the prizes, but what's the process? When are you guys going to get your championship rings, and who picks them out? Jess, any information on that for our audience?
Yeah, so I don't think we have dates secured yet, but I imagine sometime in the fall, kind of similar to how they do ACC ring ceremony. So I imagine we'll do those together. And I think our 4th years kind of get together and pick the rings. So that'll be Jocelyn, Kyla, Carol, and Paige.
Very exciting. Something terrific to look forward to. So, Caroline, what did it feel like to win NCAAs?
It felt kind of surreal. I don't think any of us were really processing the win until maybe a few days after. It kind of all felt like a dream, I would say. Yeah.
And Kyla, when did you guys first have a sense that you might be able to win?
I would say probably last year. That year it didn't really hit us till after ACCs, but leading up into NCAAs, the coaches sort of sat us down and told us, like, you can win this. And I wouldn't say that was a shock, but it definitely wasn't something we were expecting. But then obviously that was canceled. So I think from the moment 2020 NCAAs were canceled, we sort of had it in our mind that that's what we wanted to do in 2021 and really show everyone that we could do it. And I think that was our goal the whole year.
And Paige, was there ever a moment when there was, a little bit of doubt about when it was going to happen, or did you and the rest of the team just visualize the entire time that you were going to be the champions, so therefore it was going to happen?
Yeah, I think with any team, no matter how good, there's always some doubt, and we definitely had that. And I think mainly we were just trying to get to the meet with COVID and everything, and trying to stay healthy, follow protocols. So that was our biggest goal. Throughout the year, Todd kept saying, our goal is to get to the meet. And I think we knew if we got to the meet, we would do well, and we did. And that was really exciting. I think once the first couple sessions were over and all the girls did really well, we kind of knew that we were going to win it, and that was really exciting.
So Ella, how important was that 800 freestyle win? And as an underclassman, how did you feel being part of that victorious relay?
I have to say I'm getting a little teary-eyed thinking about it right now. I've been just so emotional about this whole NCAA win, just because I think it capped off such a challenging year. The 800 freestyle relay, that was really something. I think the 4 girls on it, we all knew that if we won that relay, it would start the meet off really, really well for the team. And not to mention that it is a very, very traditionally rich event for the Who's. We've won it, I think, maybe more than 15 years in a row at ACCs. And we had come off an ACC win in that event and as a team. So I think we just wanted to carry that on to NCAAs. And, you know, we were just a ball of nerves going into that first night. It was just us four and the coaches in the whole facility. No, our team wasn't allowed to be there. So we were just so excited. And when we won, it was honestly just so surreal. And like I said, just thinking about it gives me chills again.
And, you know, Alexis, what's it like actually swimming when there's no one in the audience? I mean, when we grew up, swimmers were always the loudest people and cheering. The place that, you know, the pool is just deafening, especially at a big meet. You know, Ella mentioned that they were the only ones in the pool. What, you know, what's that like when you're swimming? And then also as a spectator, as someone who is not part of that event, but so invested in it, you know, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was much of a difference because it was kind of special getting to look up in the crowd and see all your teammates up there. Just a little different experience, but specifically the 8 free relay, we were not able to be there, but we were all at the hotel. We watched it on a computer and had it on the wall, and we were all going nuts, and everyone was videotaping us, and like we were all crying in the hotel, and it was a really, I mean, even not being there, it was still so special. So it didn't make much of a difference not having a bunch of spectators because there were still important people in the stands cheering us on, our teammates. So,
you know, I think many of you have touched on COVID and how difficult it's been in this past year, and the cancellation of NCAA's last year, when you all were sort of the breakout team as the year was progressing. You know, Jess, can you give us a sense of how different it was to train in COVID, and what that was like, and what sort of a role that played as you all were preparing for ACCs and NCAAs?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say the beginning of the year was really tough, because we're so used to coming in the fall, and you obviously have all this really hard training, kind of aerobic stuff to lay that base. And normally we do that really all together as a team. There's, you know, 5 to 10 people in a lane, and it's tough, but you're high-fiving each other and breathing down each other's necks basically. And it's hard, but it's a lot of fun. And this year we had that same training, but it's, you're the only person in your lane, or it's just you and your roommate. So it definitely was, I think in the beginning, hard to create that kind of like camaraderie and that energy. But I think just as the season went on, we found new ways to do that. We definitely had to become a lot more vocal. So I think as the season went on, it got more normal, the training, but the beginning, it was definitely tough. And we just had to like be there for each other at the pool and outside of the pool. And I would say the most difficult obstacle is that we were facing was just not having that outlet of going to eat with your roommates, or going to the corner, or going to just little places that I guess we really took for granted. So having those outlets from those like difficult weeks of training and months of training was hard. But again, we just really relied on each other to get through those.
And Kyla, were there special rules that the team had to adhere to, and were they the same as what, you know, the entire athletic department had to agree to, or did Todd and Tyler and the rest of the staff ask you all to do more? I mean, swimming is such a sport of giving and giving and giving. You know, what was expected of you guys during the year so that you could compete?
Yeah, we sat down, the captains and Todd, and he had laid out the protocols for the athletic department and the university. And so ours were sort of molded around them. And of course, we had all the different protocols for training and for meets. But I think we sort of took the mindset that last year's NCAAs and last year's season was kind of taken away from us. So I think everybody, both on the men's team and the women's team, was just really determined to get to a point in the season where we could race. So, we didn't really have much struggle, like making people follow the rules or telling people like, this is what we need to do, just because everyone was so determined to have a season. So I think the team did a really great job of following all the tough protocols, of really just focusing on, staying with your roommates, not going anywhere, not dining out. But the team did a really good job of following all the rules.
And Alexis, you're spending so much time with your roommate and not necessarily with others on the team. There's a lot out there. People are talking about relationships and the depth of relationships in COVID. How did that impact you and your roommate? How did you think about that?
Traditionally, we're a team that, we're always popping into each other's apartments and going back and forth, and we're always spending so much time together. We did do a lot of activities. We were constantly bugging Todd, like, oh, can we do this? Can we do this? Like, can we go out and do this outside at the rotunda or outside the back of the AFC, like to try to get little group things like sanctioned or approved that we could all do together. And a lot of those were able to happen, which was really nice. But yeah, definitely spent a lot of time with my roommates, which I'm not complaining about. We all get along really well. We were able to do a lot of different things, a lot of movie nights, but it definitely was tough not being able to all be together all the time, since that's how we normally flow. But we are spending 20 hours a week together regardless, so it all worked out.
We've had a question. We've got some young swimmers who are watching, or their parents on their behalf. And we've had some questions about, how have you all been able to balance athletic demands, academic demands, and still, have a social life? And then you've got COVID overlaying on top of that as well. Caroline, what's been your approach to have a successful career, to be, an NCAA champion, and, to get to this level of success? What have you relied upon to balance those competing demands?
I would definitely say it's a huge learning process. In high school, I certainly wasn't practicing 20 hours a week. And I didn't have that hard of a time with academics because I had that extra time to do that, and I had a social life. But once you get to UVA, you realize like, oh, I really need to enhance my time management skills. And it's not like you're by yourself when you're doing all this. So you have your roommates and your friends to rely on. Like, oh, I don't know when I should get this assignment done. It's a learning curve, but you learn through experience. And everyone's first year is really hard trying to manage that, but I think it gets easier as you go.
Kyla, what's your experience with that been?
I think probably the same. I think that the majority of us chose UVA because we could have a balance between great academics, great athletics, obviously, and a good social life. And so I think coming in, you're told like it's going to be really different than high school, and like Caroline said, it was. But I think our team is so close that you're always having help, whether that's someone giving you advice on how to tackle a course, or you're taking the course with an upperclassman and they sort of show you the ropes. But I think, like Caroline said, it's about relying on your team and not being afraid to ask for help.
And Ella, one of the questions that we've gotten from our young swim fans as well is, and I think maybe relevant for you to answer this, given the fact that you referenced emotions previously. You can get so excited before a competition. What sort of emotions do you have? How do you manage those emotions and have them help you be successful?
That is a very good question for me. I'm smiling at Kyla because we are two of the girls who, for some reason, the tears have just been flowing this season. So emotions, yeah, behind the blocks, usually I'm pretty calm actually. And especially at NCAAs, going into it, I knew that I could get pretty tied up and, like, oh gosh, I want to make the A final. I want a podium. I want to do this for the team, do that for the team. So what I really tried to tell myself was, we've made it here, so just take it all in. And I think Todd had been really emphasizing that, like, you girls have put in so much work this whole season and last season. Like I said, a lot of the girls hadn't gotten a taper meet in almost 2 years heading up to NCAAs. So as Tyler would say, the hay was in the barn. We had done all the work. And so just being there, I would be behind the blocks and our team was kind of sitting like right above the blocks. So I think we would all, like right before we get on the blocks, we'd all look up there and see all your teammates, and it would kind of give you a sense of calm and relief that they were all behind you, your coaches were behind you, and kind of no matter how it went, it would all be fine. It's just swimming when it comes down to it. So yeah, the emotions were very, very high, but I did find ways to stay calm just through my teammates and coaches.
And Paige, how about for you? I heard an interview after the 800 free relay at NCAAs where you had actually said, gosh, I didn't really remember much of the swim at all. So what's happening for you emotionally as you're getting prepared for your individual or team-oriented events?
Yeah, that was an interesting swim, and I think relays are my favorite events, especially getting in the ready room with your teammates. I think that being the first event of the meet, we were all really excited, but we were all also really nervous. And as a fourth year, I kind of knew that I couldn't really show my nerves as much as I wanted to. I just kind of had to, you know, stay confident, appear confident, and for my team. And really, I think nerves are a good thing. I think it's something that you can feed off of. There's definitely a point where you can be too nervous, but or not nervous enough, but there's a fine line. I think learning how to balance that is just something that UVA has taught me over the years, just through experience and also through feeding off of our teammates. That's the biggest thing, just, learning how to feed off of each other. And that's really built up over the years.
That's great. I was getting so excited just, having the opportunity to talk to you all and Elle and Leah, and it brought back tons of memories and I could feel my excitement level raising. So it's something, managing your emotions and being able to perform is something that I think we all spend a lifetime acknowledging and working on. We do have 3 fourth years with us today. So inevitably, as Leah talked about, people need to leave Charlottesville and move on to the next chapter of their life and grow and develop in different ways. Caroline, can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are post-graduation?
Yeah, I'm planning on being a research assistant at Hospital for Special Surgery in New York City for the next year. And then I plan on going to medical school eventually. So I'm just trying to get more clinical experience right now.
That's terrific. And any particular medical school that you have your sights set on?
None in particular, just somewhere that I can get in.
Well, hopefully UVA will be lucky to have you back at some point. Kyla, how about for you?
No current plans at the moment. I'm a media studies major, so I'm applying to a bunch of jobs in the marketing, media, and advertising industry. But I'm just trying to enjoy my last couple months here in Charlottesville because I love it so much. But at the same time, I'm applying to jobs sort of all over the country.
Great. Well, hopefully we've got some folks listening in who can maybe reach out and help you out with that. And Paige, what are your plans?
Yeah, so I'm actually entering the professional swimming world. Not really sure exactly where that will take me, but we'll be swimming through Olympic trials this summer. And then, like Caroline, I also am planning on going into healthcare. So I want to eventually go to PA school. So I'm also looking for opportunities to get more clinical experience for a year or two before I go to school.
And I understand you've won an award from the ACC recently to help you with those postgraduate plans. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, it's a huge honor. I'm always happy to get recognized for something like that. And I think that's something that I'm probably most proud of because, I do so much work in swimming, but to be able to balance the two, swimming and academics, that's also a huge part of me. And so, it's a huge honor. I'm really excited to be a part of that. There's several other people I know who also got the honor, which is a big deal. And it's just something special to be part of.
That's terrific. Congratulations. It as a student athlete, it is really, really a thrill to be recognized for academic achievement as well as athletic achievement. So congratulations to you. So Jess, captain this year, you're looking forward to your fourth year next year. What do the prospects look like for you, both in the pool and outside?
Yeah, so I'm a business major in the comm school. So I'm currently searching for interns for this summer. I'm not exactly sure what I want to go into, but I think somewhere in the fields of management or IT. So I'm really just looking to explore different opportunities there. And then just looking to the season. It will be my last year swimming. So I'm really just trying to enjoy every minute of it. And just with my teammates and with the sport. So I think in my previous years in college swimming, I feel like I've really focused on kind of being the best swimmer I can be and being the best swimmer I can be for my teammates. And I think this last year, I really just want to enjoy it, not focusing on the results or the outcomes, but just the process in the last year. So
That's great. Best of luck to you. Ella, how about you? You've got 2 more years. What do the prospects look like for you in and out of the pool?
So out of the pool, I've just declared my major recently. So I've just transferred into the Curry School of Education, and I'm going to be a kinesiology major, which is what Paige was or is still. So I'm still kind of diving into that, seeing where that will take me. I have a little time to, look around in that field and stuff. In the pool, I'll be training this summer and going to Olympic trials. So we'll see where, what the outcome of that is. As far as UVA swimming goes, I think this might be the most exciting part, is that I think this is just the beginning for this team. We obviously had such a great team this year, and we have amazingly talented recruits coming next year. And, now we kind of know the feeling of winning, and we would love to keep that up. So I think it'll be a really, really exciting time for us to try to keep winning those championships.
Super exciting. Good luck to you this summer at trials as well. And Alexis, for you, well, 1 more year for you as well. What are your plans for in and out of the pool?
Yes, out of the pool, I'm an American Studies major, and similar to Carla, I'm looking to explore kind of marketing route or entrepreneurship possibly. Still kind of trying to figure out everything that I want to do with that, but still have a little time. And in the pool, I'm really excited. It's crazy to think that I'm going to be a 4th year. I still feel like a 2nd year even. It's emotional to think about, but I think I'm just going to try to focus on things that I can do to get better still, to make sure I, get the best out of my 4th year. also, I'm just really excited to kind of continue this new era that we're in. And yeah, like Ella said, we have a really great group of girls coming in next year. I'm excited to get them here and see all that we can accomplish next year. Hopefully things start to get back to semi-normal and we can continue.
Well, you all have such bright futures in front of you, and you've been a great inspiration to so many of us. So just a couple of quick questions before we close the curtain on today's panel. So it's COVID, you guys are athletes, but you're, maybe a little out of season for some of you. Current guilty pleasure, Caroline.
I definitely watch too much Netflix, so just watching anything really. That's definitely my guilty pleasure.
Who else watches too much Netflix or TV? Raise your hand. Yeah, I'll put my hand up for that too. Jess, for you, new dorms or old dorms?
I'm gonna have to say new dorms, mainly because I've never been in old dorms, but I've heard that some of them don't have air conditioning. And my dorm was Lyle, and it was right next to the North Line bus stop, and that kind of can take you anywhere you need to go as an athlete. So I love just being able to roll out of bed, run down the stairs real quick, and catch the North Line.
Awesome. Alexis, favorite study spot at UVA?
My first and second year, I really liked going to the rotunda, whether it was sitting inside or they have a lot of tables like outside, which was really nice on a nice sunny day. That was definitely my favorite spot to go. It was relatively quiet and it was a pretty spot. So
awesome. And for Ella, Kyla, and Paige, dry land or pool?
Dry land for me.
Yeah, it depends. I would say, I mean, we all love to swim, but dry land is a nice change sometimes.
I'm gonna have to go with dry land as well. Same reasons. You don't have to get wet. It's pretty nice.
Always my favorite as well. Well, congratulations, ladies. Just absolutely fantastic season. Really appreciate you spending some time with us today, sharing some lessons for the swimmers of the future, hopefully UVA swimmers to come. And for those of us who are alums, family, and friends, giving us some inspiration and wonderful things to think about. So thank you all very much. We really appreciate your time. And for our listeners today, those who joined us, thank you for spending an hour with us today with all these amazing women athletes who have been part of UVA, either as athletes or in the athletic department. And, you all are an important part of the successes of our swimmers and divers and the athletic program. And we appreciate all the support that you've been able to give and the support that you can provide in the future. So thanks for joining us today. Really, really enjoyable conversation and glad you could be part of it.